Welcome to Indoor Cycling TV, the global community for indoor cycling and spinning. Now, every week we feature badass studios and rock star spin instructors. You also get spin classes absolutely free. So hit the subscribe button to avoid missing the world's greatest studios and instructors. Don't forget to like and share. Now let's watch today's video. Welcome back to Indoor Cycling TV. Now, if you happen to be new to Indoor Cycling TV, this is the central hub for all things spinning and indoor cycling. Now, if you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Make sure that you do that right now so you do not miss out on anything we have to offer. Now, this week's guest is the beautiful Casey. Hello, Casey.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
I'm good.
Fabulous. Right. Well, I'm sure everybody who is watching this is welcoming you to the show. Now, we're going to kick off by asking you a very, very basic question. Where do you currently offer indoor cycling?
So currently right now, I am teaching online on my Instagram. I offer lives once or twice a week. And then I'm part of an app called Be Revolutionary, where I'm the founding Spin Instructor. So
fabulous. Virtual kingdom. I like this. Very nice. And so how long have you been there? Was that a transition that obviously we've made in the current climate? Is that, or were you always online before?
Yeah, so I was taking like 2 to 4 spin classes or classes a day. Mostly were spin, and I never really had the courage to jump out of my front and center seat, as I'd like to refer to, and get in front of people. So I actually was grateful that I had the opportunity to make that transition and make that choice to start teaching. And it happened actually last year, about February, March.
Nice. And when did you get on the app? Was that after you went solo and then jumped on the app?
It was good. Mostly around like May, June. Nice.
And is it going good?
Yeah, there's about like 15 girls on the platform, and we each teach a different vertical. So it is just like a really good experience to like teach and also meet other people that have like-mindedness.
Yes, equal love of spinning, I'm sure. So tell us briefly then, kind of what both you offer as a private instructor and on the app, teaching styles. Is it kind of like rhythm and traditional? What kind of fusion do you do?
So I'm rhythm based primarily, but I can teach any type of cycling. But for me, I love riding to the beat of the music. It's always kind of been my thing. But yeah, I can really, when I first started riding as a rider myself, I couldn't even unclip my foot. So for me, like, I've mastered all different levels and I understand how to build, and I've done certain things in my tips and tricks to get myself like endurance wise, as well as building the fast switch muscles. So I've learned how to do it from the other side. So for me to teach it, I can catch things really quickly, and things also that I might have done to make shortcuts.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice. And what kind of makes your teaching different? What's kind of your unique selling point, let's say?
So I built a company called Be the Change. And the reason why it's called that is because if you want to make a change, you have to be willing to make that change. And I feel like during this time, you have to make that choice to want to do something. And it's so important for me to not be there like spoon feeding you the whole time, but giving you that power and giving you that access to realize your true potential. So that's what I bring that's different. Also, again, like, I've been on the other side with like millions of instructors. I've taken so many people's classes, and I've taken the good, the bad, everything, and spun it into my own. So I'm more coming from a customer perspective a lot of the times, which is for me like more relatable.
Yeah. So you're not too distant. It's kind of, would you say that you're quite good for the beginners and the intermediates and the full professionals? Do you kind of cover that whole scope?
Yeah. So I can do, again, I can break it down to the beginner level, or I could add the advanced options. I can do no hands. I have built up to that. I can also do, like a very fast speed, even though you're not supposed to go higher than 120. I can do faster. But yeah, no, it's so important to understand that breakdown of like beginner, stay in the saddle, build the speed, then add the arm movements and the choreography, and then do, other advanced options. So yeah, I'm conscious of all levels.
Okay, great. And like you said, you've come from a customer perspective. So tell me a little bit more about kind of your fitness journey, how it came from you doing it, how you found fitness, incorporated it into your life, and then how you ended up being, the front of it, the professional.
Yeah, so fitness has always been part of my life. I had, tennis lessons growing up, and I was very lucky to even have like bowling lessons. My mom wanted me to like learn everything. I actually went to NYU for art, but for me, fitness was always an underlying outlet, as well as something that I was given to see if I was good at it. But I had walked into a studio in New York City about like 8-9 years ago with one of my best friends, and she's like, "You're gonna love this, it's awesome, it's great, you'll be so good, like you love athletic stuff." And I like couldn't do it, and for some reason it really like got to me, because as an artist, like you're almost on the line of perfectionism, and you're like, "Oh my God, why can't I do this? Like I have to master this. This is like in my DNA to master something like this." And so then it became not only that, but it also allowed me to put my phone away and cut off to the outside world. I was working in nightlife, and I had like 2 or 3 cell phones at the time, because I was getting emails and alerts running, like, helping to run a big business. And I was like, "Oh my God, this is like 45 minutes of just Casey time." Like, so it turned into that, and it became this safe space for me to just like kind of shut off and be internal. So that was huge. And I never really had that or found that type of space. And the community that was in there was huge for me. And then it just became like, what's next, right? I trained with a lot of people, and some of them are like very high profile. Some of them are, still working in certain places. But for me, I learned like how not to teach, or how I do want to teach, how I felt going into somebody's room where, everybody was in this clique or like this cultish thing, and I didn't fit in, or, I wasn't allowed to sit in certain places, or it allowed me to realize how I want to make somebody else feel.
Mm-hmm. And so what is that? How do you want to make somebody feel during your lessons?
So I hope that I never make anybody feel the way that I have felt. That is like my mission. I never want anybody to feel like they're not good enough. I don't want anybody to feel like they can't be who they want to be. If they don't want to like, wear a t-shirt or throw a towel or, whatever it is, not in that like, community setting, saying it loosely, because, you are free to be whoever you want to be. But I also feel like you don't need to always do what everyone else is doing. And for me, a huge lesson was I don't need to copy or mimic the instructor. I need to be Casey. Mm-hmm. And when you take my class, I don't want you to follow me. I want you to follow my, choreography and my movements, but I don't want you to be Casey. I want you to be who you are. So that was my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, great. And do you remember, like, was there a certain instructor that inspired you to take the leap into instructing? Has it been one person, or was it kind of like just that natural progression?
You know what? Everybody would ask me, I would leave these classes and people would be like, "Do you teach somewhere? Where do you teach?" And I had this one guy not too long ago, like a year ago, and he said to me, "I don't know why you're not teaching. Like, do you teach here?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." And he's like, "Well, I would take your class. Like, it's never too late." And it kind of like stuck in my head, like it's never too late. Mm-hmm. And I had been toying with it right before COVID, like very, like a lot, like I said, started to plant like auditions and started to figure out if that was the right move. And it was a couple months actually right before COVID. So I was already thinking about it, but then with COVID and the lockdowns, it allowed me to say, "Hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm doing it. I'm throwing myself in the fire. I'm supposed to do this. This keeps like coming up in everything that I'm doing." And I also was on TV growing up. So I had my own Bravo reality show when I was in my 20s, and I have my SAG card. And I'm not scared of the camera. It's not being in front of people that freaks me out. It was more like, am I saying the right muscle groups? Am I saying the technical terms? That stuff was more important to me, not being afraid of stepping into that power. So it was a combination of people kind of whispering in my ear, Casey, 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 and then me being like, do I do it? Do I do it? What are people going to think? And then I'm like, I don't really care what people think anymore because I'm supposed to do this, like, for a lot of reasons.
Do you think, would you suggest to people that if they have a similar feeling, if they're toying with it, would you suggest that they take the leap into teaching? If they've obviously, you know, had the years of experience that you have and have that passion, is that like a leap that you'd recommend?
It's interesting that you asked that. So like a friend of mine was like, oh, I should teach. And I was like, well, are you there like mentally? Is your cup filled up, right? My cup, like for years, was probably half full. I was running myself ragged. I was running the customer development for a nightclub all night long, doing like, you know, maybe a day shift, like exhausted. And I couldn't have my thoughts really clear. So my cup was not full. I couldn't give to anybody else. I couldn't help you. I couldn't inspire you. I couldn't motivate you to be better. I was just like, how do I make sure that I'm like functioning as a human being? So I don't say don't go after your dreams. Like if you're going to be a professional singer or be an actor, like go and do it. I've done everything. I've shifted my career so many times. I have professional acting training. I have a master's degree from NYU in art education. I have an EMBA. I started a startup. I was on a TV show. Like I've done the journey because those were the things that were calling to me at the time. But this was something that if I do the regression line, fitness was there and it was the teaching was there. Can Casey step in front and actually give now? It's more like a choice that I needed to make.
Great. Well, it sounds like it's going well. So we're gonna circle back to what you offer. So break down the classes that you offer. How long are they? What kind of style are they? And what should they expect to get from your class?
Yeah, so I offer, my lives are usually 30 minutes long. You just need a stationary bike, like light weights. I'll do weight sessions every other week. Towel, your water yourself. And then on the app itself, if you subscribe to it, there are 45-minute classes, 60-minute classes, 30-minute classes. But again, they're mostly rhythm-based cycling. So we're dancing to the beat of the music, doing choreography. But you should feel empowered after it. Like, again, I don't want anybody to ever feel like they're not good enough. And I want you to make sure that you're not becoming me, you're becoming you.
Yeah, definitely. And do you offer any other classes? Is it predominantly spin? Like you said, you do weight sessions, but is there anything else that you offer?
Yeah, so I do personal training, one-on-one virtual personal training, and I also teach boot camps. So I was teaching a ton of boot camps at hotels outside, making sure that obviously the protocols are safe. So I was doing a bunch of 45-minute full bodies, abs classes. I'm NASM certified. So yes, I teach like every vertical, but spinning and cycling is my passion.
Wow, okay. Doing it all, taking over the world, acting, dancing, the whole shebang. You are a formidable woman, I can tell that. Don't get in your way. Okay, so let's think, do you face any challenges with your job? Obviously, the COVID is a massive challenge to try and sort of work your life around, but is there any other challenges that you face?
Yeah, for me, like there's so many people, right? Like doing this and like, how do you stand out and how do you stay true to yourself? And I thought it was super important to be with a studio, which, you know, eventually I'll be working on like having a home base so I can meet people in person. So that's been a little challenging. I wasn't like established right away, but I'm building slowly and it's part of the journey. And again, I mentioned earlier I had a startup, so I kind of know what it feels like to build and build and build, and you're not always going to get there right away. But over the last year, I feel like I've done so much just to get my presence out there that it will come. Like it doesn't feel like work, and the most successful people in my opinion do what they love, and you know the money kind of follows. So if you continue to build, hopefully, you know, I'll find a home base and I'll be able to grow in that way.
So when you speak of you know being your authentic self, how does that come out in spinning? How are you delivering who you are through spinning?
A lot of the things that I say, like the mantras that I say, you're enough, like you have to make that choice to make that change. I always say that, because these are things that stuck with me, that I needed to make that choice to make that change. You could do anything you want in 20 seconds. You just have to want to do it. I always say something like that. And also like knowing that you're enough. I never thought that I was enough because I was in certain people's classes, not to say these weren't great experiences. It just, I didn't feel like I was fully like accepted, or I didn't feel like I belonged in there, or I didn't want to do something. So then I was like looked down upon, or I would ask questions and I didn't get like very responsive answers all the time. But these weren't bad experiences. These were things that where I just had to realize like, Casey, you're enough. You don't even need to like justify yourself or prove yourself or sit there or do that. Like, who cares where you're sitting at this point, right? It doesn't matter. Like, you're just as good as if you sit in the back.
Yeah, definitely. And so if people come to your classes, let's say they stick at it for 30 to 50 days, what do you expect their journey to be like? If you could explain to a potential client what they're going to experience, what would you say?
I would say it depends on what level they're entering in on, right? So like I would have to know what kind of level they're entering in. So there's probably a bunch of variables, like what kind of bike they're riding on. We're obviously in a virtual setting, but standard, make it easy. I would say they'd most likely be able to start to do the advanced options. They'll build their core strength, their leg strength. They'll have some really good music, and they should feel empowered.
And what's your jam? What is your favorite song to spin to?
You can't answer that because I love all music, and it's like New Music Friday like all the time. So there's all these like great songs that always come out. One of my favorites to even like just audition to is Rihanna, We Found Love, because I just feel like it's positive, upbeat, like it's fun, it's upbeat, and you just feel good to like run to. But yeah, I mean, there's so many different options.
Amazing. Now, okay, so I know you've been teaching for a short period of time, but let's take both your teaching experience and your client experience with the people that you've worked with. Is there somebody that sticks out in your mind that has just absolutely flourished from undertaking spinning? Is there like a story, like a,
Like, you mean like a company?
Well, either like if there is somebody who maybe was a client with you, in the other words, they were participating and they had an amazing experience, or if someone you've been teaching, your own personal client, has had an amazing reaction to spinning. Is there somebody that stands out in your mind that it's just kind of the proof of why spinning is so awesome?
To like kind of switch that around, for me, I've watched like the journey of all the Peloton instructors recently, and I listened to this incredible podcast by Tunde, and she was saying that like things needed to really align for her. Like, she had her father pass away, and then she was working in makeup, and like she never really expected to be on Peloton, but it kind of aligned for her. And I believe in that. And I think that when it's your time, like all your stories kind of line up, and that luck and that opportunity will all meet itself. So that was really inspiring, and just all of them in general. Like, I had taken Robin Arzon from the beginning. So to watch that whole company grow is super inspiring, and hopefully be a part of like one day. But like just watching it is incredible.
Okay. That sounds good. I need to tune in, obviously. So I'm now going to open the floor to you of anything. This is the last question, but what would you like the world to know about you, Casey?
That you don't.
Big open question.
A big question. But I feel like you don't always have to have everything planned out, and there's no A to Z journey. And I had to come to terms with stop being perfect and stop trying to be perfect, because all the times that I was trying to be perfect, even on a stationary bike, I was going nowhere. And all the times where I was actually being imperfect, I grew, I invited more space in, and I learned a ton. So if there's anything that you can learn from me, is not having everything planned out, and you can excel and succeed in something that you want to do, as long as you believe in yourself.
Amazing. That is Perfect note to leave on. Believe in yourself. Yes, Casey, fabulous. So that is the end of the interview. Thank you so much. It was an awesome interview. Now, of course, before we go, do you want to drop any of your handles, Instagram, the apps? Hit me with all the stuff.
Yeah, sorry. You can find me at Casey L. Cohen. I'm very active on Instagram, somewhat on Facebook, and started kind of on TikTok, but Instagram mostly.
I'm not into TikTok yet. I need to get into it.
I have to get better, but Instagram.
I just want to, you know, when they do the videos where they throw themselves into their walls and then they like all their clothes fall off and then they're like something else. The only thing that I think of those videos, like the fact that they've spent so much time doing it and just throwing clothes at walls.
It's hard to edit. It's really about timing and cutting it effectively. It's so hard. Like and then like the ones that you don't take effort in are like going viral, and the ones that you like look for hours, it's like going nowhere. You're like, what is going on here?
What is the matter with you, TikTok? I may one day venture into it, but not now. I think I will stick to Zoom interviews at the moment. So, but that's everything. We will drop all your handle into the box below, so everybody hopefully will give you a follow and join in with your classes. I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you so much for an awesome interview. And yeah, good luck without going out the other side of COVID. I think we're all sort of fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But I imagine, like I said, I'm sure the world isn't ready for you on the other side of COVID, Casey. I definitely think that. But thank you so much. And hopefully I will talk to you another time.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Bye.